know where the treats at.
Is this the passing of the torch, right? Is this what this signifies?
It comes down to that front office and what they feel is most important.
The champ is here. We've touched down from a higher plane. Why you made it here?
We always look forward to that week because it was always intense.
You know that we ain't coming back. We about to.
The man, the myth, the legend, Dante Hall. My favorite player growing up was Dante Hall. I love you guys, Nico, but Dante was my guy.
Get to dashing because he's done on the warfare.
This episode of Chief Concerns is brought to you by betonline.ag. Hey there, Marcus Dash here from Chief Concerns. Just want to comment and say BetOnline is your #1 source for all your sports betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for football, baseball, boxing, golf, and much more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Monday Morning Tight End, and today we have Mock Draft Monday 1.0 on our episode today. We got Teja coming in for our draft expert coming in here tonight and talk some mock draft stuff with, of course, our guy, legendary Chiefs tight end, Jason Dunn. How you doing, fellas?
What's going on, fellas? What's happening?
Man. Everyone's a draft expert this time of year, by the way.
Everybody.
Everyone.
Yeah.
What makes Mel Kiper a draft expert? Well, for 30 years of doing it, I mean, they just put him on TV and just call him a draft expert. So, honestly, no one's qualifications, other than the fact he's done it for so long, doesn't make him more of a draft expert than any of us. We all watch the same amount of football, probably even more based on some of the stuff he says when he when he does this. Wasn't he the one that said Ricky Stanzi was going to be the next Tom Brady? And I mean, like that. And us Chief fans, we were waiting for that to happen. That never happened. That never came to fruition.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, so we got everybody in the chat here tonight. There's some of the usual faces. About time.
Hey,
look at Ghost Hunter here. You know what? Marcus Mahomes dropping dimes on Sunday. What up, Marcus? JD in chat.
Ghost Hunter 1974. What's up, my man? Maria.
He knows what he's talking about.
Chief 65. Yep. Wendy. Maria. Yeah. About time. Yeah. All the
usual
suspects.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Andrea.
So with tonight's episode, we're going to take a deep dive into a 4-round mock draft. So Teja and JD have both done a mock draft, and they're going to go through each pick of the 4 rounds, and they're going to give us their expert insights as to why they're drafting this guy at these picks here. And obviously, you know, we're all trying to be realistic with who we draft here. So all of us have kind of looked at the kind of draft machines and see what guys will be projected to be around the spots that we were in with the picks 32 in the first round, 64 in the second round, 95, and I believe 131. But yeah, so we're going to go through a 4-round mock, and they're going to give their expert insights here. Gentlemen, do you guys want to say anything before we get into our mock?
Yeah, I'd like to say something. Listen, these picks that I've taken, okay, was done off a draft simulator. And so what you have available is what you have available. And that's from my need. But like I told Marcus, if I had my druthers the way I wanted to on certain guys, I may go a little bit different, okay, different route. And so obviously, you know, through the simulation, this is how they feel it's going to, you know, pan out. But I do believe, you know, doing the mock draft stuff like that early, guys' positions can definitely change. You know, obviously, I mean, it's just how it is. It depends on what the team is. And so that's, I want to preface everything when I'm coming here. What I'm doing is based off of that. All right. So,
you're going BPA on the positions we need based on the simulator that you went through, right?
Pretty much. Yes. Pretty much. Yes. Mm-hmm.
I think more important than being, I mean, I like being right. I've been right, a good amount with picking guys for the Chiefs over the years, but I more so like
we have some friends who still call you out for certain guys that you've talked up over the years. The certain friends, JD, you're gonna love this. Certain friends still call.
I didn't want us to draft those guys though.
Yeah, but I think his point is our friend Foster. He always calls out Teja, and he always calls him Tank Tyler or Turk McBride.
What?
He was all right.
Yeah. We were on Hard Knocks that year, and God forbid I root for our team on an HBO show. So I mean, those are just guys he knew about because he actually, like everyone else, watched Hard Knocks. So I'm synonymous with those guys now for life because I rooted for our team in Hard Knocks.
Yeah, there's no wrong with that. Yeah, it's all right. It's all right.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
Take the bride.
I'm more proud of I wanted Kelsey going into that draft. So into the draft we got Kelsey. If calling out Hall of Famers is great. No, but what I was going to say is more important than calling out the guy. It's the position for me, because at the end of the day, it's like, if I wanted a receiver and I had a particular guy I wanted, and they picked a different just receiver, I'm okay with it. I'm like, hey, dude, that's awesome. The fact that we actually had eye to eye on what we needed, not who we needed. They just went a different direction on who they want, how they want that skill set being filled, right? That's really all it comes down to with half these guys. I mean, they just want something that one guy can give rather than the other. So,
and I was the same kind of with you, just thinking guys that I wanted here, right? Wanted with the Chiefs, have been successful other places they've gone. I mean, that's what I look at. Okay, so this guy's been, productive, with this different organization. I wonder what he had done with the Chiefs. And so obviously sets and stuff is showing. But yeah, I think, did you, I don't know if anybody, did you simulate King Felix coming here last year?
Yeah, I did actually.
Did you really?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I mocked Felix to us a lot. It's funny. I had Felix and Rice to us a lot.
Well, you were just a big Rice fan last year.
I was a big Rice fan.
I remember before everything, you were talking about Rice before.
Yeah, everything. Yeah. I was a big Rice guy throughout the process. I knew the skill set we wanted. I knew what we were looking for. It was a blatant Juju replacement. And we wanted a guy who could do that and more, right? And I think we're all happy with that, despite the most recent. We won't get into that stuff, but despite the most recent speeding. But other than that, we're happy with the play on the field. But I'll get into that a little later, actually. So we'll.
Yeah, and kind of what JD mentioned, when we mock tonight, things change. I mean, we saw yesterday Tavondre Sweat, the D tackle from Texas. DWI charge in Texas, of course. Just like we had Rashee Rice in Texas also with the driving thing.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, and now this, I mean, who knows what's going to happen with this DWI charge a couple of weeks before the draft? That's something that could lower his draft stock. And this guy was supposed to be and a first round pick, early second. Now we're maybe, I don't know, will he get drafted? I mean, there's questions like that. I mean, that arise. So
sure,
that's a bad look for sure going into the draft, because I mean, at least guys are a little bit cognizant of what you're trying to do, right? And not saying they're not, but it still goes into the whole thing of bad decisions. Guys, people make bad decisions, they do, and you might have been doing something for a while, getting away with it. Like I said, I mean, there's no telling how many people leave from games in different places, been drinking and whatnot, and then people feel like they can handle it. It's not a big deal. Hey, man, I could get home. It's not that big a deal. Whoop, whoop. Hey, pull over, buddy. It's oh, man. Well, how much have you had? Well, maybe a couple drinks. So, okay, step out. Do the breathalyzer or whatever you have to do. And then sometimes that is what it can be. But, yeah, man, stocks will rise and fall, okay? They will rise and fall. So
it's one of those things too. I mean, I'm not excusing what Rice did, right? But Rice was already on a team. Whereas right now, the periods, especially the few weeks before the draft, that's you want to make a good impression, right? That's like the equivalent of if the friend of the bride sees the groom making out with a friend on the wedding night. That's the one. These couple of weeks before the draft, that's where you want to be on your mind, your P's and Q's the best way you can, so you can be as high as pick as possible to get that money. So it's, and now you're doing this, so you're gonna hurt your draft stock, hurt your cash, and all that stuff, and then and who knows what can happen. So.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So we're gonna dive into the first mock draft of the Chief Concerns off season. I can't wait for this one. This is gonna be good. I've seen both your picks, And I gotta say, I'm leaning one way already.
Ooh, so you don't have one, Marcus?
No, it's just you two guys. I'm gonna kind of be the just look at it from the outside point of view and just see which one I like or which way I lean. I already have an early lean on it, but just
are you gonna ask the people in the audience to the viewers to chime in and say which one they prefer?
Oh yeah, we'll definitely do that. Yeah. So everyone, after you see each pick, so what we'll do is JD will say his pick. He'll go over his expert analysis on why he's going that way, and then Teja will give his pick, and then I want to hear from you guys what you guys think about the picks for each round. So we got 4 rounds here, and we're gonna begin with round 1, and here we go.
Ooh.
JD.
Oh, yeah,
you
smart.
On the clock, baby.
Okay. So, knowing what we need. Like I said, preface this with what they had available at the time when I was doing my mock draft. And I had several ones, but this guy right here always was somebody that I liked. He was somebody I think that we need. When I say need, kind of for the long term. And this position that we're trying to fill is something that I don't feel like we need to patch up. Okay, we've been kind of using a little bit of tape and patching this position up for quite some time. We actually had on the other side of it had gotten somebody here for the long term, which is great. All right, which is beautiful. But we need somebody to complement that on the other side. And so with my first round, pick number 32, I decided to go on the defensive side of the ball. Okay, defensive side of the ball.
Ooh.
And I'm going with Brandon Fisk from Florida State, defensive tackle. That's what I like. Okay, that's what I like. So I'll go into it. So my reasoning.
Please.
What I do like about Brandon is he has a high motor. Everything I see on tape, he comes off the football. I mean, he destroys guys. And when I'm talking about that high motor, don't quit, just constantly coming after a guy, this is who he is. You could tell he loves playing football, how everybody just rallies around him. And so the type of energy he brings, his get off, his hand placement, he's nasty with it. He does a really good job of just getting past guards, centers, kind of with ease at times. And the guy keeps showing up. So when I was talking about a compliment on the other side, I was talking about Chris Jones. Chris Jones, we know he's going to be here. He's going to end the Chief. Okay. We've been kind of patchworking guys beside him from this time. That's what we've been doing for the past few years. I think this is matter of fact, it's more important to have a guy that compliments Chris Jones, maybe because of the JariusSneed is gone, right? So now you got to really get after the guy. Okay. Not to only mention pass rush, but also to run stopper. He does a great job, chucking and shedding guys to get off the ball and taking double teams. He does a tremendous job. That's what I like about him. Brandon Fisk, man, to me is he's a monster on the inside. He's a guy that he reminds me kind of like when I was talking about George Karlaftis, in the draft. I wanted him first round. We got him, right? So we needed a high motor guy that's going to give it his all. Somebody you just can't make quit. And he reminds me a lot of that. And so him being right beside Chris Jones is just going to make our defense that much better. And like I said, with the void of JariusSneed, let's just say if people are worried about our corners not being able to cover or whatnot, then we got another guy to get after the quarterback right here in the running back when they get the football.
Yeah,
Fisk, ladies and gentlemen.
Big fan, JD. I've liked him throughout the process. In a lot of he's someone who's gone up a lot in boards from his consensus people. I took him a lot early on when he was available in the second round, but now when you do simulations, he's gone after like the first, I think 7 of the second round. So but you never know. The one thing with him is he's pretty old for a prospect. He's 24. So he might, just because of that alone, because these teams are obsessed with just like molding like 20-year-olds. So he might slip and he might be there in the second. If we get that'd be ridiculous, but yeah, he's a beast, dude. I'll be a huge fan. I went the opposite side of the ball with this one. I was stuck between two guys, and it usually came down to whoever was available between the two. But I got more attached to the position of need at left tackle. So when both were available, the last time I did it, between you want to do the music so I don't just give it away. So it was tough between Tyler Guyton and Kingsley Somatea. I went Tyler Guyton. I think I started comparing him to previous Chief left tackles of the recent past, OBJ, Donovan Smith, and he just fit more of what those guys were, just gigantic beasts. He's 6'7", 327. I think he's got a 37 plus reach to him. So he fits more of just the really tall, big left tackles that we've had recently. Kingsley's had good reviews too. I picked him a lot in the first round in my drafts, but between the two, I went with just the slightly higher ceiling because of his build. They say he's athletic. They say he could play tight end. He's so athletic. Just quick feet, still raw. Potential's limitless. They say ridiculous athleticism. Fires off the ball. Has good power. Has good a punch. Some downsides for him: inconsistent technique. Yeah, go figure. He has flaws, or else he'd be a top 5 pick at 6'7", 330. Yeah, inconsistent power placement. They say doesn't know where to put his hands when he hits people, and then inconsistent technique. But with our coaching staff, I don't worry about stuff like that. Everything else that he brings with our coaching, I think he could be our top flight left tackle for the next 5 years on the cheap. And with some of the guys coming up in contracts, we need a little of youth and infusion into the O-line again with cheap contracts.
He's a pretty interesting prospect because he went to TCU. He was like an H-back and tackle. That's what he was at TCU before he transferred to Oklahoma. And pretty much in Oklahoma, he's pretty much been right tackle. So that would be my only hesitation as far as drafting a guy who's playing right tackle to move him to left tackle upon getting drafted. But his athleticism, they say, is why they could see him being a left tackle. But JD, what are your hesitations with that?
So same thing. I mean, he plays, right tackle more than he does left. So it will be a transition to move over to the left and become capable. And also, we got Wanye Morris here. Just kind of watching, Wanye played the left. I love that he's huge. A lot of huge, big guys. But that was the thing, being right tackle. It's always making a transition to left. That's the tough thing. I mean, to be honest with you, when you come to the NFL, it's really like a different position, to be honest with you. Because your body is so fit to doing something, to the right side all the time as far as tackles and guards. Guards are a lot easier because you can kind of square your feet up a little bit more. Tackles are you're definitely toe to heel, stagger. I mean, I like his size, I do, and also too, like I was reading some of this report, like they were just talking, like he was talking about his hand blocks. He's more of a pusher as opposed to burling guys down,
which sounds more finessey, left tackle-ish.
Yeah, but see the thing, but that transition would be, that's my thing. I know how hard it is to make that transition from right to left. Not saying he couldn't do it. It'd probably take him a good year to make that transition, to do that. Now he could be a guy that dare I say, in the future, if you wanted to use him at right tackle and move Jawan Taylor, you know what I'm saying? If you wanted to do something with him, maybe a little bit later, right? Or if you wasn't happy with his performance, let me put it that way. He's getting paid too much money, right? Teams are like, hey man, look, let's bring this guy in to challenge, Jawan Taylor. And so you could use a guy like that, right? And so, like you're saying, Teja, in that transition, let's just say Jawan's beating him out handily. Well, now you're getting ready for the left, right? Put him both ways. Go ahead and okay, let's see your athletic ability. Can you do both? And we're going to make sure that we're going to give you every look that we possibly can, to challenge you on that. So
with him and Kingsley too, the final, you get your pros, you get your cons, and you get your final write-up about him, but from a lot of scouts, and they always finish the same way. It was would love to see him get a redshirt year, would love to see him get some development with a coaching staff and not put too much on him to be your franchise guy, which I'm cool with him. There's a reason why they lasted 32. If he was a finished product left tackle at that size, he'd be, a top 10, 12 pick. Let's be honest.
Oh, yeah. Heck yeah.
I mean, you are getting that. So this pick is definitely potential is highly involved there. He's not a plug and play. So even if you did this, you probably would want to re-sign a Donovan Smith to a 1 more year deal, right? And then get him ready next year. No questions asked. He's your guy, left tackle. Or even if midseason, if Donovan misses week 8 or week 9, you bring him in there at that point. Maybe he's progressed enough to take it on, and maybe you never look back at that point. So with this in mind, with either one of those guys, I would still probably rather sign a, and it sucks to say that too. You're drafting a guy first round and you're still signing a guy to be the starter there. Left tackle, man. Left tackle's no joke.
Amen. So
expecting a guy, unless even teams drafting the guy 10th overall, are you just signed away being okay, our quarterback's never getting touched? Dude, that's still a huge come on in that league. But what's so weird about it here, I totally agree. It's tough to make the right. But if you look at some of the highest graded players or ranked players for guard, for instance, some of the highest ranked guards in this draft, top 8 guards, they played tackle in college. They didn't even play guard.
No, right.
It's he's everyone's a consensus that he's going to play guard in the league. It's okay. But he never played it once. He played tackle his whole career. So, it's just interesting to see that. O-line, I think more than most positions, it's it's somewhere on there. You have the ability. You're going to play somewhere.
Yeah.
Right. We just got to find the spot for you. So, and he's one of those guys, in my opinion, that if the way our scouting and our coaching is, if they got the stamps from every level of the Chiefs to be he could be our left tackle, then I would be happy as hell. Be all right, either one of those guys, really.
Mm-hmm.
If they're getting Hex seal of approval and he reads and they're this is the guy, then I'm dude, I'm in.
Yeah. So I'll, when we go later on, I'm gonna kind of give you my thought because I like where you're going with it, and you'll see kind of where I'll go a little bit later, and you'll
okay, because
I like the thought of it. I do. So we'll go second round. Okay. Second round pick. So we understand the situation with Rashid Rice, all right? And we know we need a wide receiver, okay? Because we are kind of in limbo with what goes on with Rashid Rice, how long he's going to be out. We don't quite know. But it was good that we got Marquise Brown, we got Hollywood Brown here, okay? To me, that was phenomenal. I'm glad we did it because it gave us some cushion. It's okay, so we definitely do have a guy, okay, a number 1 guy that could take the top off the defense. To me, this second pick was, getting a receiver because all the other guys are gone. This guy, to me, man, what I loved about him is he goes up and catches the football, okay? We need a guy to go up and catch the football, all right? He's not really a burner, but he has a high catch radius. He get in and out of break, body the ball up. He's very athletic. I like all his measurables. The things what I've seen on film, man, he looks, he could easily be a first round or second round. It's just how deep the wide receiver, draft is, right? We just talked about it. But from a second pick, I think he fits well with what we do. Because we need a guy like this. I like Jalen Polk from Washington, wide receiver. Okay. I like Jalen Polk. Now, we know Aduze, we know who he is, right? But this guy right here is without a doubt can definitely be a starter here in the NFL, okay? Everything about him, the way he likes challenging guys, the way he catches the football, goes up and just goes get it. Somebody said he may have the best hands in the draft as far as wide receivers because there's no ball. You could tell, like, when some balls are just thrown up, he just looks like he's in position to catch the ball anytime it's thrown up in the air. Like, he just knows it's his, right? And it seems like he's getting draped on DBs and whatnot, and he still comes up with the football. He snatches the ball away from guys, okay? And I love his size, okay? He's, 6'1", I think like 209, something like that, somewhere around there, 209, 205. I forgot what they had in the combine. Is, he ran a 4.5, right? He's not a burner. We got a burner. We got somebody to take the top off the defense. That's fine. But we're looking for back shoulder throws. We're looking for dig routes. We're looking for deep balls going up to go catch the football in the end zone and red zone. Throw the ball up. Let this guy go get it. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. This is a wide receiver we've been needing for the Chiefs. Okay, I think we've been asking for a guy to go up and go get the football. So he will be perfect for something like this, especially maybe without Rashee Rice being here for us. That's the reason I like Jalen Pope.
Yes, 6'1", 203 is what he measured and weighed at the combine.
Love it. Athletic, man. He's athletic. Love everything he does.
It's interesting. We actually, the other day, we brought in our top 30 visit. We not him. It was the other Washington receiver, not Romeo Nduze. Jalen McMillan was the guy.
McMillan, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
people love him too. He's climbing up a lot of boards.
Yeah.
I like Pope more than I like McMillan, though. Just for the simple fact of, like I said, his catch rate is the way he goes up and attacks the football. He comes down with everything, man, and you could just tell he is a baller. He is an absolute baller. So
37.5 vertical jump too.
Yeah, 37.5. Yeah, good broad. Shoot, he did. Yeah.
So I see exactly why you did that, and I'm doing something very similar to that. It's funny. If you go to all my mock drafts, I've done all the simulations. I probably took receiver most in the first round. And last week or two, I've been going more tackle in the first round. I've liked the more I've read about a lot of the second round receivers, and it's so deep, right? I'm like, man, do you want to like force like the next best receiver after that group of like the first three, or do you want to just wait on it and get your guy? Move up maybe 5-10 spots if you need to get your guy in the second. I'd rather do that. Kind of like how we did with Rice. Like we saw our guy in the second, and we tackled it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I chose a guy that he can play anywhere because he might have to be playing Rice's spot for the first 4 to 6 games. And he could play slot. He could play wherever you want him to play. He could do a multitude of things. Not someone I was looking at in the beginning of any mocking or draft prospect watch. But I know they catch a lot of flack. But I listened to the podcast breaking down receivers from the PFF guys, and they were both gushing over this guy. And how they came to the decision, which I loved. They were having a hard time saying who the number 4 receiver should be in this draft, because you have the top 3, that's pretty unanimous. And the 4th, they're like, the consensus is Brian Thomas Jr. And the guy was literally like, have some balls. Tell me who your number 4 receiver is. Commit to it. Don't just say the one that's safe. And he came up with the name Jermaine Byrd out of Alabama. And he was, and they're gushing, and how they came to that decision, it was just, it totally sold me. And then I started looking into it more. So he was saying, he's like, our process, we get a lot of flack for, the grading and stuff, but how I watch tape, I watch hours and hours and hours of tape before I even look at grades, before I even look at combine. The first 3 plays I saw, I was like, oh, wow, you have some pop plays that stick out to me. But he's like, it didn't stop. Like, every play this guy made was just like more and more impressed and more impressed. I didn't see a weakness. He didn't drop a ball last season. He's only dropped, I think, 4 in college. He's like, he said his ball tracking in the air is maybe the best in the draft. And that was just one of the guys. The other guy jumped in too and was like, he doesn't have a weakness. He's like, for the website, I have to come up with weaknesses for these guys just to put on there. I was nitpicking. I was looking for a weakness at some point. And I gave him the weakness of, I think he said, tracking where he is in the field and sideline awareness, because it's a joke. I had to put that because I have to put something. The guy doesn't do anything wrong. One problem with him, and this is something that's going to be interesting for us in this draft period, is that he's got character concerns. I think he hit a teammate or something. He's been known to get into it, like kicking players before. He's got a really bad temper on the field. But they say that part of it is his fiery nature. He's extremely competitive, a willing blocker because of it, because he gets into it. He talks a lot of trash. They say he's one of the biggest trash-talking receivers in the draft, which I personally love. Because look at some of the animal receivers out there. They seek you out, and they know they can beat you, and they'll talk to you before they do it. I personally love that, and I don't like the kicking teammate thing or getting in and fighting teammates and stuff. That you can leave that stuff at home. But it's going to be interesting to see if we shy away from character guys, especially character receivers, with what we're dealing with right now. Because in the past, we have not done so. We are open to taking guys that have checkered past and think that, they'll be good citizens with our team. And if the Rice thing didn't happen so close to the draft, maybe we wouldn't. But I don't know if that's going to make us change our mind on how we approach players/receivers specifically. But as far as talent, and mind you, they both say they've heard from multiple teams, many teams that have just thrown his name off the board. He is not on their board.
Yeah.
He said, quote, some teams say he's a maniac and I want nothing to do with him. But if you have him on your board and you're going for, and he's not off your board and you're just going for pure skill, he is someone who's considered maybe outside the top 3 receivers in this draft. And you're getting him at a discount because of the issues in the second round.
JD, how does, talking about the character concerns aspect of it, how does this, with the whole Rice stuff going on, does that play a factor in, like, okay, we want to kind of stay away from that, especially maybe not a team thing, but maybe more for the external component of things, like, okay, we want to avoid the media shitstorm that we'll get into by drafting a guy who could potentially have issues based on what he's done in college, just to get away from the media storm. So look at the Chiefs. They don't care about personalities of guys. They just want to win. They just don't want to deal with that.
No, man, it matters. It matters a whole lot because you want to make sure a guy fits into your culture. All right. And somebody who has short temper. Think about what we're talking about with Kadarius Toney right now. Right. And so if that's going to be something that you don't want to disrupt anything in the room or, your team chemistry for a guy who comes in who is talking noise all the time, that might be good out there against the defense, but you might be at practice and it takes one guy to spoil the entire bunch. It's the same thing like somebody might say about Stephon Diggs he's a huge, prima donna and he's a problem guy because he's always, saying this and saying that. Well, teams would just stay away from guys like that because they're cancer. That's the reality of it. And it's not like the Chiefs need a guy like that. But like Teja is saying, some teams will take a chance on him just because of his ability, and he got great ability. I love Alabama receivers. Okay. We know receivers that come out of Alabama do a pretty good job. I always, they're always going to be talented guys. Okay. The question is going to be maybe with some might be character issues. And I'm looking at, if Nick Saban couldn't get this guy's personality, in wraps, shoot, what's going to be in the NFL, right? So he does have a lot of ability. I'm looking at his catches, because he didn't have a whole lot of receptions last year either, because some of that, based off guess what? You're not going to play. I know Nick Saban's not. Guess what? You're going to act like this. You're not going to play. You'll get in some plays, and then come sit down with me. Okay. That guy, if he's going to be like that, sit Burton over on the bench with us. Okay. Until you understand what it means to be a pro, what I'm trying to get you to do, trying to talk in my Nick Saban voice, then you're not going to play for me. You're not going to get the opportunities you think you're going to get. And I'm telling you, man, that goes a long way. When teams come into places, they're talking to Nick Saban and all these other coaches about what type of guy this guy is, what type of character. it matters. Nick Saban says this guy's a trouble guy. He's a little off of it every once in a while. It can't be no worse guy to be against you than Nick Saban, right? That you've been on the team. If Nick Saban say you're a problem,
Yeah.
right? So that's the only thing. But yeah, talent-wise, man, he got a lot of talent. He's got a lot of talent, but talent ain't everything, right? We know that. And if teams are trying to invest a whole lot of money into you, these character issues come up, they are not going to do it. They are not going to do it. Some teams will because they're like, we got to win now. We just got to win. Okay.
Well, I will say though, Kelsey had a temper issue coming out of Cincinnati.
He did, but he had somebody vouching for him, right? His brother vouched for him. Was like, look, he was an idiot. He did something stupid, So Andy trusted, Jason was going to try to keep him together, right? And when he basically backstabbed Andy, I'll say backstab, but he disappointed Andy. He got his act on together, right? He got himself straight.
He still has a little temper sometimes, though.
Yeah, he does. But we know. Yeah, he has a temper, but it took somebody like Jason Kelsey to know Andy Reid for Andy take the chance on him.
Sure.
If he had Jason Kelsey, Travis Kelsey wouldn't have been here. He wouldn't have been. And we never know what his career would have been like. Okay. He could have been up there, and where they from? Akron or what now? Cleveland. Shoot, turning cars over or something. I don't know. I have no idea. Right? Just you never know how these things are going to happen. But yeah.
One thing I was going to say, so like I'm looking at the numbers here. So he leaves because he was at Georgia, then he went to Alabama. So I'm looking here. He leaves Georgia after the 21 season to go to Alabama. 21 season was Ladd McConkey's first year there. So is there a story? I mean, obviously everyone's transferring these days, so it's not, it's not a big deal when a guy transfers, but for the fact that Ladd McConkey and him are very, very similar kind of in stature and size there, was there kind of a reason he transferred? Did he know Ladd was going to be their guy, and that's why he left Georgia to go to Bama? And also, too, we're talking about character concerns. The last time we kind of dealt with this going into a draft was a couple of years ago, George Pickens. A lot of teams were taking George Pickens off their board because of the character concerns with Pickens. And obviously we've seen some of that come to fruition in Pittsburgh this year. And with the whole, him being pissed off about not getting the ball, with the quarterback situation they had, making some stuff saying stuff online. So, I mean, there is some of that, and we'll see if that changes for Pickens this year in Pittsburgh. But I mean, some of the character concern guys that have come out recently, we have kind of see that stuff continue in the NFL. George Pickens being the latest one, because that was just a couple of years ago.
Yeah. So sometimes the writing's on the wall for some guys, and some guys just think that they're going to have a good opportunity at some places. And maybe he thought that at Georgia and going to Alabama, somebody was probably in his ear like, hey, look, they don't really have nobody over there right now. Why don't you head over there to Alabama? And they draft receivers. So once you go over there and see and he could go over there bittered and feel the same way. Like, man, I'm not never get my due. I'm never the guy. That might be maybe some of the chip on his shoulder that he has, right? Some of the attitude that he's got. So,
and maybe that goes hand in hand with the whole veteran receiver we're talking about. Maybe bring another veteran. If we were to get a guy like this, you could have another veteran in the room to kind of, quote unquote babysit, but just kind of get to lay the land to some of these guys, who need that veteran presence.
The thing is, I would say that we have enough veteran leadership to keep guys in check, but I mean,
not in that receiver room.
The thing is, though, I mean, acting up on the field is different than acting up off the field. And what would you be more concerned about? What would you think as a coaching staff and as an organization you could keep in check more? A guy's personality on the field or off of it? I'd say on the field, right? Because you're not going to watch him when he's hanging out in Dallas and drinking at bars and driving Lamborghinis, right? So, but you're going to watch him on the field when he's like trying to like act up. You're going to grab him by the back of his jersey and yank him over and be like, we don't do this. And if you're getting reamed out by Kelsey, I don't think you are going to do it that much on the field anymore, right? I mean, like, because college is one thing and they'll overlook it for talent, but the NFL don't play. So you do that in the NFL, only so many chances before you're out. You know what I mean? So then that's his livelihood at that point. So I don't know. I mean, this pick was totally based on us not giving a crap about concerns, character concerns.
Sometimes like I was saying before is some guys just don't care. You could try to put, even on the field, like, hey man, in the locker room, meeting rooms, like, hey man, like you need to straighten up. If you don't have nobody with them all the time, like Kelsey has to go to his own meeting, tight end meeting. Same thing with Patrick. He's got, quarterbacks, they got to do their own stuff. But having a guy there, and I'm telling you how sometimes this goes, because how you have a conversation and your dad leaves the room, he tells you not to do something, right? And y'all brothers, y'all understand how this goes. As soon as the dad leaves, the brother's like, oh, I ain't gonna do what he says. Like, somebody's always the tough guy, right? So hopefully it's the older brother saying, like, look, man, calm down. But then it might just be, some buttholes in there. Hey, man, I ain't gonna do it. And they think it's cute, and everybody follows suit because you got young guys leading young guys, and it's always hard to corral that. The youthful exuberance that they have, that they display. And next thing you know, you hear that they're not doing things at practice and watching film like they should. All these different things that kind of leaked out a little bit that, might have happened some, last year until they started getting it right, coming in early, doing some things different, okay? And it took somebody to say, hey, look, you need to, this is what you're going to do. It ain't no, you're doing this. If you don't do it, then you're going to be replaced, okay? I don't give a damn how much we're paying you. 11 million, 8, 7, we'll give a damn. But you're not going to disrupt what we have over here, okay? For your own little selfish pleasures that you want to do, and everybody hee-haw and kiki and, in the meetings. That shit ain't going to happen. It ain't going to fly. That's why everybody was kind of asking for Bieniemy, because they knew Bieniemy was going to call out. He'd come kick the door in, okay? Somebody listen to me, then guess what? Then we might have to square up. We're going to get you up out of here. So, you want to make sure that, you temper that, with veteran guys to kind of speak their language a little bit. Like, hey, man, like, that's silly. Like, well, how come we not coming in early? Like, we should be doing this. If you're a professional, that's what you should do. I had two guys, talking about me. When I came in my rookie year, I came in to start Philly. It was well known. Coach told the veterans, hey, we got to get Jason ready. When he comes in, he's the starter. 10-year vet, 13-year vet. They took me under my wing. They taught me everything I needed to know, how to move in the NFL, how to carry myself. I mean, they took care of me. They ain't let nobody else in the team mess with me or do anything like that. I was their guy, and they made sure they was going to protect me. And if I did anything silly, if I something out, I didn't. Let's just say I had a confidence issue. They check it quick. Hey man, yo, like, come here, Rook. Come here, Rook. I see these guys today, man. You know what they call me? What's up, Rook? What up, Pruck? They call me. Love Jimmy Johnson, Ed West. Shout out to those guys, man. It's my brothers right there.
Awesome. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, regardless, though, I like the position here. I like you guys both going receiver here. I mean, I can be fine with us going receiver in the first round, but obviously BPA, and this is a deep receiver class, so you guys are both taking advantage of the deep receiver class, which I like so far. Curious to hear everybody in the chat what you guys think about the receiver that they both picked, Jalen Polk, and you got Jermaine Burton here for the round 2. So curious what you guys think so far. Both are mock drafts. We're going to head to the round 3. JD, what you got for us?
So round 3, okay. So I've been listening, and I just been thinking, right? Same thing. We don't know what's going to happen with Rashee Rice. Okay, we've been talking about Tyler Boyd, this guy here, and this and that, whatever. We're talking about high character guys. Okay, so my thing is this, and actually, Marcus, thank you for actually kind of talking me into thinking about getting more receivers. So my third round pick is actually going to be another receiver. All right, it's going to be another receiver. And the reason I think that is because if you're not thinking about getting Tyler Boyd, who's an older guy, you want to get high character guys to sit here. Okay. Now this guy, we understand, comes from, great stock. Okay. He has a great family. He has a great name. Another Rice. Okay. We had to think about third round pick. No doubt about it. We had to go with our guy, Brendan Rice. Okay. From USC. All right. Now, hey. And the thing is, he just seems like a plus. Just getting him. When they talk about his work ethic, obviously he's going to get that from his dad. He understands what it means to be a pro. He's got probably the best mentor that you could possibly have and the best wide receiver in the entire game. Bar none, without a doubt, ever. That's his dad, okay? So he understands. Jerry will be in his tail, in his ear every single day. I guarantee Brandon's probably talking to his dad every single day. After practice, when they practice, what y'all look like, are you working on your stuff, just to make sure he's right. You could talk about like how he goes in and he blocks DBs. He's blocking the guys. He understands that. I mean, he's been taught by the best. Okay, that's what he's got. He's been taught by the best. And so you bring a guy like this here, he's just going to win. He knows nothing about other than winning, trying to win, trying to be the best, and he's going to work for it all the time. So high character guy, okay? He's one of those like a rookie that will come in. He have his notepad and his pencil. He'll ask 20 questions just to make sure he's getting everything right so he understands everything, okay? This is a solid pick because he'll be dependable, okay? He'll be responsible, accountability, okay? And not saying other guys are not on that, but you won't really have any type of character questions with him, okay? So his stock has been rising. He catches the football well, long strider. But like I said, man, he's going to challenge every single DB, every ball coming to him. He's going to try to make the play. You know that. He's going to sell everything out to do it. He's the type of guy that you need on a team like the Chiefs, who already has a winning a culture, and you bring a guy like this in, like, hey, man, you are perfect for what we need to do, right? You perfectly need to do. So Brandon Rice, to me, man, he has all the intangibles, all the athletic ability to be a guy that comes in. He could be a starter. He could be, the backup guy. It wouldn't even matter to him. He just wanted to be a part of it, right? That's the type of guy that you need, who wants to be a part of a team, not an individual, a team, okay? The individual accolades will come.
He'll work his tail off, too.
Oh, no doubt about it.
Yeah. And I love your two picks. You got Polk 6'1", 203, and then Rice here 6'2", 208 at the combine. So I love it, man. And then when Rasheed comes back, that's three big dudes. And then you got Hollywood the Burner to take the top off the defense. I love that.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. And those are the guys I'm saying that we need to kind of get, because you got the speedy, fast guys. You got those guys around you with the offense that you want to be able to run. Okay, you just got the kid from the LRZ, right? We got him. He could be running back, wide receiver, whatever. If he could catch the football, so they don't really drop a whole lot of balls. So, you need guys like that. And so guys like this that is going to work hard, it's going to get open. He, like I said, he's learned from the best. Okay, he knows it all. He call out defenses, whatever. He's probably telling Patrick, hey, man, look, if you think about it like this and this, he's like, where you learn that? My dad. Like, shit, he's been teaching me since been on the bottle. So
do you so with this, I know we had a conversation about this last week about bringing in three receivers. Do you still think if they do follow this, they go second and third round receiver, do you think they bring in another veteran or they kind of leave that room as is?
You could bring in a veteran guy. Now, this is where the veteran guy you would sign maybe for like a 1-year deal, right? We was talking about Tyler Boyd. I was like, I don't think the Chiefs want to do another 1-year deal with a guy. If you get two rookies that you're going to have here for a long time, and maybe hopefully Rasheed Rice recovers from this, which I think he will, right? You got legitimately three guys that are growing together. They're growing like talented guys, okay? And so you bring a Tyler Boyd who could teach them, what they need to do, or maybe somebody else. I don't know who you get. The OBJ been named and thrown around, so different guys. But you can now get that veteran guy on a shorter deal that is not going to cost you a whole lot of money, right? To teach these young guys on what they need to do. But I think they fit right in what the Chiefs are, okay, as an organization. That's what I feel.
I would love this if these first 2 rounds happen the way you have it, JD. Oh my gosh, Not dog on yours, Teja, but I've had an affinity for Brant Rice. Yeah, I got the US. I got the USC thing in me.
Yeah, no, shoot. Two rookies like this, maybe a veteran guy. I mean, you got Hollywood Brown. I mean, shoot, you got a nice mix of almost like young receivers, like you see up in
Green Bay.
Mm-hmm. They playing a really good ball right now.
They have the prototype of how to get your not spend high draft capital on not just the first round guys. Well, yeah, I think all their guys are below the first round between Watson, Daubs, and Jaden Reed. So yeah, you're following that model right there. That's a great model to follow. I mean, those guys are all studs. Yeah, Teja, I know before we get to your pick, thoughts on the back-to-back receiver spot here, or were you considering that? I know you didn't do that, but were you considering that?
No, probably not. I just think you guys cutting Sky Moore.
Well,
are we keeping like 7 receivers?
We did this past year.
8?
Well, we haven't made a decision on Kadarius Toney yet. We don't know it's still up in the air. Okay.
That's true.
Right? Rashee Rice, we still don't know anything about. So you get 2 rookies in. You got Hollywood Brown, that's 3. Jalen Watson, you got Sky Moore, that's 5. And then you bring a veteran, that's 6. And then, we don't know what the other 2 is going to be. You know what I mean? That's the thing about it.
I mean, Rice is not going to be suspended for the entire year. I think at most it'd be 6 games. So
right, but when he comes back, because it's like you got to take a roster spot, who's going to fill the spot in? You got to make sure the guy that
you have half a year. Yeah, it's true. I mean, yeah, we have some guys stashed. That's the reason why I just didn't do that. I think if anything, we'll draft one in the first 3 rounds and then like sign a veteran.
That's what I wanted to do initially too, Teja. To me, it made sense to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't hate it. I mean, if that's the way they want to go, I'm like, all right, hey, let's do it, man. Get a bunch of young receivers in here. Yeah, I'm not against it by any means. I didn't go that route with this one. So I went the route of I'm looking ahead. I'm looking to next year and beyond. If you look at our O-line, Joe Thuney's got 2 more years on his deal. They are very, very high cap numbers. Trey Smith's contract ends after this upcoming season. And I know I've seen rumblings that if there's an odd man out between Bolton, Smith, or Creed, it'll probably be Smith. Not sure how true those are, but I can see why they would say that.
Yeah.
So I went guard with this next pick. And I went Zach Zinter out of Michigan. So he broke his tibia and fibula against Ohio State in November. He hasn't been able to do any of the draft process at all. But he was considered Wolverine's best O-lineman this season. If he didn't get hurt, we're probably looking at maybe high 2nd round pick. He'd be one of the best guards in the draft. I mean, you're already knocking on that door anyway. I just see this as another way to get a badass guard we have no business being able to draft at the point we're able to draft him, like Trey Smith. Not as late as Trey Smith, but a similar thing here where we got a guy because he was hurt and wasn't able to really go through this process with anyone. Be an absolute steal. He can pass block, great power run blocker, big 6'5", mean, tough. The knocks are a little bit stiff, not great athleticism for a guard, but good enough in the short game to pull out and run and smash somebody. Can be overpowered a bit by bigger 2-gappers. But what I read was can be beaten by big 2-gappers, but never beaten soundly. So he doesn't go down without a fight. I think he's someone you don't have to rush back from injury. Let's say he's not ready to start training camp. You don't have to even rush back. We didn't retain Allegretti. I don't believe we've replaced him. So, by the first month or second month of the season, maybe the IR to start the year out. It comes back week 6 to week 8 and is our main backup guard, utility man from there on out. And then maybe you're looking at the replacement for Trey Smith for the next, 4 years, 3 years after that on a cheap deal. I just think with a lot of question marks for the O-line for the future, Taylor, we have to get out of his massive contract. Tooney's got a massive contract, and he's entering his mid-30s. And I know I have us taking left tackle, but right now we don't have one, so that's another open position. And Creed's a free agent, and Trey Smith's going to be a free agent. So O-line is something that I could see us heavily investing in this draft.
JD, your thoughts on Zach Center? For the record here, Teja, I remember last year there was a similar guy in the draft, Andrew Voorhees from USC, a guard who got hurt, fell in the draft. I was hoping we were going to snipe him because it'd be great because he'd be year two, he'd probably be recovered by his injury by now, and you'd have him ready in the wings.
Yeah.
If anything happened to Tooney, anything happened to Trey Smith, or when Trey Smith goes in free agency, if we don't re-sign him, that'd have been a great guy. Very similar here, but obviously Zach Center's a little bit of a higher prospect than Voorhees as far as the injuries go and being ready for the season. So, but yeah, I wouldn't mind this. JD, what are your thoughts on preparing for the future, as Teja put it?
I mean, it's a good thought. It's a good thought. I don't know too much about this guy, to be honest. But what you're saying, that sounds promising. If he got hurt, and like you said, if we could get him in the steal, my question to you, Tej, is that somebody that will probably be around the fourth round? Is he a fourth round guy, you think?
Yeah, my note that I put in there was hoping to get later, but someone's going to try to not wait too long. The whole people don't want the Chiefs to grab that steal of a guard, steal of an O-lineman anymore. They want to be the one to get it before that. Everyone's looking at. I looked on Twitter too. I looked up Zinter. I just typed his name to see what people were saying about him. And everyone's like, we can't allow. We need. I actually read this. Like people said, I want this year's Trey Smith. We can't allow the Chiefs had it right by getting a guy with injury concerns late in the draft. And we got Trey Smith late. So, I'd love it if he was around the fourth. All my simulators throughout the process, he goes earlier and earlier every time I do it. So he's going, at least my simulators, I see him going anywhere from mid-late 2 to early 4. So if he's your guy you see being your starting right guard in 2025, then I don't see a problem taking him at 95.
And going to a team that already has 2 starting guards, you're also allowing him to possibly be a redshirt year for him to continue because he got hurt like late November. It was the Ohio State game. I think it was one of the last games in November. Yeah, he gets hurt that game, lower leg injury. Was it? What was the
fibula and tibia?
Fibula. Oh man, that's a rough one. So you allow him because not every team has the luxury of having 2 guards like the way we do.
Yeah,
and draft in the 3rd round. We can, most teams, a guy like this are going to be kind of like Voorhees last year, fell to the 7th round in that situation. Teams aren't going to waste a pick on a guy they're going to have to sit out for a year if that's what it is. So, it's an intriguing idea as far as a guy like this because, everything I've read, if he wasn't hurt, he would have been definitely a top 2 round guy. So, I'm more a JD. If he is if we're in the 4th round and he's there, I definitely jump on that.
Or even if, that 3rd round from Tennessee, I know no one loves that we got. That could very well be used to be like, hey, we love this guy. We did not expect him to still be there. You want our 3rd round for next year. Jump right into it and take him. I every time I do a simulator, I trade that freaking Tennessee pick to get back into the draft. Some of these positions that we need are just really deep this year. So he's someone I've moved back in to take in the early 4th if he's still there.
Okay.
Yeah. If he was still there in our 4th round pick, dude, he's someone he's someone who's like best available that's up there for way too long. And I'm screaming at the TV to go get him. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. That'll feel one of your headaches for sure, that you had to deal with, especially trying to replace, like you said, Trey Smith or, Joe. It depends on, what contracts and what everybody's looking for. What you think, guys? Joe Tooney is one of the best guards in the league. We know that. And versatile too. So,
What I love about Zinter is NFL ready, starting NFL guard for the next 10 years. Those things to me, third round for half a redshirt season, I'm cool with that, man. You know what I mean? Like, and then you have him cheap for another 3 years after that. So,
and it becomes a full redshirt season because, I mean, unless Tooney and Trey Smith get hurt, he wouldn't play it down this year. So it would be more like preparing for that next year. Hey, like take this year to get it right fully. So when we have you next year, you're full go.
Well, Tooney did deal with something too. So you never know. I'm surprised we haven't been a little more aggressive at guard. It makes you think that we are going to prioritize a guard early in this draft. The fact that Smith's a free agent and Tooney tore his pec in February.
Yeah, but based on that, we know about the pec tear, JD. I mean, he should be ready to go. That shouldn't be something that's bothering him going into the season, right?
Yeah, he should. Yeah, he should go in the season. Yeah, ready to go. Yeah, it shouldn't be no problem.
Sure, but we also lost our main backup for the last 3 seasons. Allegretti's been our mainstay at like plug and play guard, and we don't even have that either. So like we also
let's go to our next guy. Okay, we'll see what we think. All right. So Teja, all the things you're thinking about, right? And I like your thought process with the guy, the tackle from Oklahoma. My thing is, can you get a guy that has that ability, okay, to play right tackle and transitioning because he is a versatile guy. He's athletic. You making this point about Trey Smith maybe not being there. This guy plays guard and tackle. He's played more tackle than he's played guard in the last couple of years. Okay.
I bet I know you're going.
Do you? Okay. All right. So I was watching him kind of at the Senior Bowl, some of the snaps he was taking and what they were talking about. When I just started watching film on him, I'm like, this dude he's athletic. I love how he moves. He's a solid guy, pretty strong. And he's young. He looks like a guy that can grow because he's such a young guy. And he's just going to get better. Like you were talking about before, the type of coaches that we have can get a guy like this ready. No doubt about it. And so for me, my 4th round pick is Sato Luame from Utah. That's all about him. Yes. And all the things they were talking about him down at the Senior Bowl, what the coaches liked about him. They like his athletic ability. They like his size, 6'4", 319. And he's versatile, play inside and out. That's the thing about him, inside and out. He's got a score, 77 on athletic score for O-line is incredible. 75 total score on it. 26 on the bench press, so he's strong, plenty strong. Good hips. It's a good. I think they talked about like one of the weaknesses. Just reading it here, it's like he gets beat because he oversets a little bit. Part of that could just be because you have such quick feet. You could just move so much outside that you think like, hey man, look, you're athletic enough that you don't have to give up so much on the inside. Like trust your athletic ability that you can still sustain from the outside. And so a coach would teach him that, right? If you're getting beat on the inside, it just means that you're oversetting, right? And that's the problem. Don't overset. You don't have to overset. Why, coach? Because you're athletic enough that you can keep a guy on the outside. Like for you, a tackle, keep him on the outside. Like don't give up to the inside. You don't want to give up to the inside. Even though you might have help, don't give up to the inside. And so, like they said, he's versatile enough that he can come and start and play guard, right guard. He's a right-sided guy, okay? And so that goes into like the whole thing of if you're thinking about a Jawan Taylor, what you want to do with him. Is he somebody of the future that you use? Instead of picking somebody like that in the first round, you didn't get the guy like my first 5 tackles. If you're not getting those guys in the first round, the top ones, it's kind of, gets a little iffy for me as far as tackle wise, right? It's like, okay, then it's got to be a project that you want to do. Okay. And, when we get to next week and we start talking about it, probably one of my first pick might be tackle. But this guy you get in the 4th round. Okay. And filling every hole that you're talking about filling, right? Right tackle, right guard. Is he athletic enough to go to the left? Is there something he can do? right? The redshirt year, you don't use him, but you got to start in right tackle. You got to start in right guard. This guy can do both of those. You already know he can do that. Do you move over to the left and see what he can do over to the left, right? And even if you do sign, let's just say, Donovan Smith back, you know what I mean? Like you were saying before, do you just sign the Donovan Smith back, let this guy learn, see if he can do it, and if he can't, well, shoot, he's good over to the right anyway. So that's why I picked him.
Yeah, his player comp, I was looking at, it was Tyler Steen, who the Eagles ended up drafting, the guy from Alabama last year, which I was actually – he was a second-round pick, or he was supposed to go in the second round last year. Then he ended up falling a little bit. But, yeah, I mean, he could do it all. I mean, 4-year starter at Utah. Utah's been a pretty relevant program. And those guys there, big boys over there at Utah. So, I like that. Teja, thoughts? I know you drafted. You've been in the trenches a little bit in this draft. So
big fan. I've taken him whenever I didn't get Zinter where I wanted to get him. I don't want to overcommit and get him too early. I've taken him, Isaiah Adams out of Illinois, who also played right tackle. That's what I thought you were going to go with.
Yeah, I like
right tackle, but they project him at a guard in the NFL. Yeah. Another guy, Bo Lemer, who played center and guard, who gives us that versatility as well. But yeah, big fan. Yeah, they a lot of people comp him to be. I've seen the Tyler Steen one. But starting guard in the NFL, starting guard. So I'd love that if we went a different route in round 3. Someone we like, maybe a linebacker in round 3. I wouldn't mind at all going him in the 4th. I just think, again, like what I was saying earlier, I'm more stuck on position than I am at the player behind it, right? So I know whether they go Zinter or Adams or Lumea, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but that's where you can tell that's where their mind's at. They know Trey Smith might be gone. This is our guy, because if it's not a red shirt because of injury for Lumea, they're not looking at him starting right away. They want him to get his legs under him, get the NFL, get used to it, correct some of those problems, and then if we have an injury week 6 or 7, he can fill in for a game and look all right, especially with the O-line we have around him. You know what I mean? Like we have guys around. If we lose one of our guys right now, we have enough guys in that old line so you can follow suit and not look terrible, right?
That's right.
I'm a big fan. I wouldn't mind it at all.
And it definitely fits our mold of having a guy who can play tackle and guard. I mean, Andy loves those guys who are like utility linemen who can play anywhere you put them. So
versatility is just huge, man. We need that. Whenever I've taken like a D tackle, I want a guy who can maybe fill in at D end sometimes. Your boy Fisk he's skilled enough to be able to play some D end on packages for sure. That's one guy. I like him a lot. Robinson from Missouri can play D end and some D tackle. So there are some guys. Dude from Clemson, I'm forgetting his name. D end and D tackle, he can play both. So a lot of guys are skilled enough to do that. Linemen too. That's why I like Lemer out of Arkansas. Can play multiple positions, can play center and guard. You never know. What if we can't get a deal done with Creed? What if he just wants an insane amount of money? We're just like, look, man, you're not the first person we put in a hard line on. We're taking a hard line stance on Tyreek Hill. Once you go that far, you can take a hard line stance to anybody. So anyone thinks that we're guaranteed to re-sign Creed Humphrey, you're mistaken. And I have the number 10 as proof of that. Okay, if we could replace Tyreek Hill and win some rings after it, we don't think anyone on our team is irreplaceable. Okay, so
no one.
It doesn't matter who it is, and especially a center. We could be like, all right, we found Creed, we'll find someone else. But yeah, I agree. Versatility is huge for me. So my 4th round.
So our final pick of our first mock draft here says the round 4 is the last pick of our 4-round mock draft here. Teja, take us away with our 4th round Mr. Irrelevant here, our Brock Purdy.
I've gone back and forth of swapping O-line and cornerback with the 3rd and 4th. Losing Sneed at first was a knee jerk. I was like, we need to replace it. We have replacements, so we have guys come back from injury. So I didn't go at first early in the mock draft simulations. I took cornerback in like the 3rd. And then I took safety even sometimes, a guy who can play slot safety, but also just in case Reed's number becomes too big in a couple of years too, someone who can maybe fill in for Reed eventually and just take over for that position, right? So I've even taken safety in the 2nd, 3rd round of some of my mock drafts, along with cornerback. this cornerback's got a lot of guys who feel like they fit here. A lot of tall, lengthy press man, can play zone, scheme versatile, can play some slot, can play some outside, disrupt the ball at the release, get into receiver in the first 5 yards. I feel like we just love that, and we find them a lot. So so I think 4th round is now my kind of sweet spot for a cornerback. At 5th if someone falls, but so in this case, Eli, tall but not too tall Jones. Okay, so he's 6'1.5", almost 6'2". He's got ball skills, can play zone, press man at the line, disrupts the short passes, gets up into receivers. They say he doesn't necessarily I forgot the way they put it, but a disruptor at the line of scrimmage of getting in on balls when they come on short passes, which I think with our pass rush, for the most part, man, just blanket these guys in the first 5 yards. Don't give these guys anywhere to go to. Confident, good ball skills, a little bit of knock on his deep speed, can be beaten on deep passes. Again, 4th round pick. He's not perfect. Shocker. But I think he can also not afraid to hit the run too. So he gets in there. He's not the best run defender, but they say he's definitely not shy on attacking ball carriers and running backs. I just think that fits there's a lot of guys I like in this mold. He's someone that fell to me at this pick a fair amount. But I've seen him go anywhere, by the way, from mid-late 2 to early 4. So
JD, your thoughts?
I'm looking at his picture on the NFL.com.
I've seen that one too.
You see that? He's got the do-rag on. I love it. Yeah, I like the lankiness, right? 6'1", 185, arms, 4'4", 42.5, vertical jump. Wow, broad 10 foot, 11. So he could definitely be a guy that we could have and fit in. I think you add him onto the room. Yeah, why not? Still keep your depth where you need it to be, just in case somebody goes down, right? And so, I don't know too much about him either, to be honest with you. I'm going to check him out a little bit more. I had to go into his film and stuff. But at least the thought of going and getting a cornerback, at least by the 4th is I think it's a good idea. I think it's a good idea. Can never have too many good corners, right? Never have too many good corners. And so we know that we have corner university and getting those guys ready. A guy like this, if he could come and show out, then that's all we need. That's all we need. So.
Yeah, definitely DBU. We get our cornerbacks paid. You come here, you play great, you get rings, and then you get paid.
Yeah.
That's a nice advertisement to come to Kansas City. Yeah, you get a ring, and then you can go off and get paid. Can't promise you're going to get paid here, though, but you're going to get paid somewhere.
See, when I'm looking at his weaknesses, it says pops upright from his pedal, slowing transitions, can be conned into declaring hips and beaten by route stems across his face. So, in this league, shoot, you can't be slow in that transition. But that was something what's his name had to learn last year. Justin Watson, not Justin Watson. I'm sorry, Justin Williams, Joshua Williams. All these Watsons, Williams, and all these J's. But he had to learn that too. Remember, I was telling you about him turning around, trying to get his hand into, the receiver's face, and that's the transition. Getting your head around. That's transition. That's part of it. Don't pop up, because as soon as you get high, you slow down. And guys will buy you. In the NFL, buy you. Shoot, Randy Moss is like this. That's 6. And so you got to be able to stick with the guys, man. Stay low in your transition while you turn it. But that's key.
Well, his long arm should help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is something that I read. I'm always curious about this stuff, right? So this is 4th round. This is where we drafted Sneed, and I think this is where we drafted. If I'm not wrong, Shamari Connor was also a 4th round pick, if I'm not mistaken. Joshua Williams is a 4th round pick. Sorry,
Joshua Williams is
yeah. But looking at this is why when you look at these pros and cons of these guys. So I went back and looked at what people said about JariusSneed coming out.
Mhm.
So his Bleacher Reports weaknesses.
Mhm.
Has elite speed, but still lacks range and coverage. Handsy in coverage, will have to learn to keep up with his feet in the NFL. Loses too many guys in coverage and allows slower players to run past him. Most teams will view Sneed as a corner, and that will only help his draft stock. But so yeah, too handsy. Has to learn to keep his feet with them. Loses too many guys in coverage and allows players to run past him. So I mean, based on that weakness, how do you think that translate to what he showed in the NFL?
2 of them are true. 2 of them are true.
Handsy part?
Handsy for sure, and loses guys in coverage. I think that's keeping him on the outside eliminated that. We didn't see him as much in the slot when he stayed on the outside being a man. Much better. I would get upset sometimes because he would lose guys in coverage. And I'm like, come on, Sneed, like that. Like, you're supposed to have, inside leverage on this one. I can see it. And he would he'd lose guys. That's reality. It's the truth. So have guys run past him. I didn't really see anybody run past him because he did have that good speed.
Yep.
Yeah, he had makeup speed. That's one thing a sucker could do. He could run. And he could transition well. So, but he grew into it. He grew into it. The handsy part, that's just sometimes as part of his game.
Yeah.
And losing guys in coverage, like when your guys got a 2-way go. Yeah, sometimes, and you see when guys start stemming and splitting, kind of thrown off. So yeah, 2 out of the 3 true.
Yeah,
definitely.
But it shows you to the DBU aspect of it. It shows you that our coaching staff's putting our guys in the best possible place they can be. And
absolutely, don't never ask a guy to do something that he can't do. Okay, just don't do it. If not, then you're gonna have to you'll strike the band up. Strike up the band. No, can't have that. They do that. Coach it. I asked him to do something he can't do. Okay, that's on you then. That's coaching.
Yeah.
So, yeah, obviously we only did 4 rounds. But JD, do you see us drafting a DB in this draft, whether it be it 4th round, be it 6th, be it 7th?
That's a fact.
Yeah.
Chiefs gonna get a DB, and if not 2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
So
We haven't replaced Edwards.
yeah,
well, that depends how they want to use Chamari or Nazi next year. Because Nazi was drafted to be a safety, they moved him to the slot corner or nickel corner this year. So, and then he got hurt, so we never got to see what he could potentially be, and that could potentially be something he is.
True. But we signed Edwards before Nazi's injury anyway, so
That's true. Yeah,
we did want that.
Yeah,
high end depth at that position. So
and at that point they were moving him. They knew they were moving him to nickel.
So at this point we haven't replaced. That's why I went. The big reason I went guard and DB when I almost went safety, because we've looked at these positions and we haven't replaced them. So you got Allegretti and future uncertainty at the guard position, and then we haven't replaced Edwards yet technically. So I know Jones is not a safety, but just you can't have the more bodies you have back there, just the better. Especially scheme versatile guys.
Yeah. The question is, do you need a guy that early is the question, right?
Yeah.
If you're going to be a backup, if you're just looking for a backup, you're like, look, now this is, Joe Tooney's going to be our starter. Maybe Trey's not going to be here. So if we do something, who we're going to bring in, right? We're going to bring in this guy, let him be that, or, all of that comes into the question of during off season. You sign Trey again, or what you're doing.
I mean, Allegretti started the Super Bowl for us, so it's that backup utility guard guy even though he's not the starter, is the first man up in the interior lines. I mean, incredibly important. So I wouldn't balk at them going interior O-line on the earlier side. One, because Smith, Tooney's age and contract, and on top of that, just like we didn't replace Allegretti. So it's kind of a need for this year and possibly beyond. Safety and cornerback, not as much, even though we didn't place Edwards, but we have Cook back. We have safeties, right? Only question would be for me is Reed's contract's getting up there. I know that people want us to extend him so they can kind of push that money back a few years, but we haven't. It's an option for us, but we haven't yet. So, you never know. With Mahomes and now Chris Jones's contract, we're going to continue to make really tough decisions with our roster, man. I don't think, we have two Mahomes type contracts. We have Mahomes and we have the Mahomes of the defensive side now. So we have Mahomes O, Mahomes D. With two of those guys, we're going to make some really hard decisions from here on out. We're going to spend money wisely.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Which is why, for me, I love JD's draft. Not knocking your stage, but which is why I love JD's draft as far as the receiver. That's a premium position that those guys are getting paid. You got to strike gold with the young receivers because look, last two of the three receiver acquisitions we've had, MVS was kind of an overpay, but a 3-year deal. But Juju was a 1-year deal. Hollywood Brown was a 1-year deal. I hope we can keep Hollywood Brown past this year if he has a good year this year. But it seems like as far as signing guys, we're not giving out the big contract to any receiver. So it looks like we are going to have to strike gold within the draft. We missed on Sky as far as we've seen so far. We don't know what's going to happen. Rashee Rice is a hit. And then this draft, do we get two receivers here? And this is a deep draft, and this would be the draft to do that.
You have to do it if you're going to do anything. And sure. Those the two guys I chose was like two solid guys, right? And that is going to be here for a long time. And if you're developing under Patrick Mahomes and those are his weapons, then having continuity is important. As opposed to like bringing somebody in every single year and paying them $11 million to be a mercenary. Hey man, stay here for a little while, right?
Yeah, the way you draft the receivers is very Packerish. A bunch of guys, everyone out there can do some damage on you. You know what I mean? Now, Rice might not be a 1,500-yard, 110 catch guy, maybe. It could be. Yeah. But most likely he's just a guy you have to just account for at all. You want all your guys to have to be accounted for at all times. And it's just hard to guard 4 guys out there running routes with Kelsey also out there at the same time. So exactly.
Right. Because, last year, man, don't worry about him. I'll let him throw the deep ball. He didn't care. People didn't care. Like I said, we weren't really striking fear in anybody's hearts last year. No DBs was waking up in cold sweat. Nobody was. Hey, anytime a DB's like he's sleeping soundly before the game,
I know.
He's gone because he got good sleep. Oh, I don't like it.
Yeah, I just want guys that teams have to pay attention to. They don't have to be 1,000-yard receivers, just like they have to pay attention to them.
Sure, we know teams like that, right? So, couldn't sleep on San Fran. Definitely not Green Bay. Couldn't sleep on Houston, the Texans. Since he's another team, so when you have 3 receivers, like you said, nobody could sleep, right? Hey, anybody could do you in. So
yeah. And the thing we're talking about the Packers, which we're on the show, we're big fans of that. I don't know if Chad's watching tonight. Your nephew Chad, big Packers fan. They've pretty much put a blueprint out there. You don't need to draft the high guys, but if you can get a bunch of those middle round guys, you're looking pretty. We lost. We had the best secondary in the league this year, and they kind of carved us up with all their guys in that game. Looking at so Romeo Doubs 4 for 72, Christian Watson 7 for 71 in that game. Wicks 3 for 43. Jaden Reed, 4 for 16. Malik Heath. All their guys did something in that game. They had 12 different dudes caught a pass that game. They were just getting us with everybody, and they were kind of doing that to a lot of teams towards the end of the season. So if we can kind of follow that blueprint with Kelsey, with Hollywood Brown and Mahomes and Andy cooking up plays, this is good. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun if this is how things go. And I hope it goes the way you have it, JD.
That's why a lot of times I've taken Ladd, because not the flashiest receiver, but if you put Ladd in our offense with Rice, Kelsey, Hollywood, those are 4 guys, and then different kinds of ways will roast you one-on-one. And you can't go man against those 4 guys. You'll get roast. Someone will have their way in that matchup. One of those 4 guys in their route will have their way from Mahomes almost every single play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I hope we follow that.
And a lot of people call a receiver now, they say receivers kind of turning into what running backs been. That there's just so much friggin' talent at receiver in drafts now. The whole you have to get your guy in the top 10, he's the guy now. You don't have to do that anymore. A lot of these top 5 receivers taken in the drafts are being outshined by 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounders now on a pretty consistent basis. We thought it was a couple of years of, oh, man, that was just a really good draft class. No, I mean, yeah, it was, but that's not the reason why. The reason why is because these drafts are loaded with talented receivers now, and they're coming out. And if you get the right guy for your scheme and you have the right quarterback with him, and you put him in the right positions with coaching, you're gonna get the best of him. Who knows if Rice went to another team if he looked like Rashee Rice? I can't say that for sure, but I know for the skill set we needed him to have, he was just perfect for us. It was a match made in football heaven for that. So you can get the guy in the wrong system and he doesn't look good, right? So the opposite can be true too. But I just think there are so many guys out there now. There's just so much talent at receiver. You don't have to get one early. That's why I was going receiver a lot in the first round earlier in my mock drafting season. I've kind of gone away from that the past couple of weeks because it's just like there are so many guys out there. I just have a feeling the Chiefs are going to be in love with someone that allows them to take another position in the first round, and they can fall back on the 2nd or 3rd round and get the guy that they just see perfect for their system. Like I was watching the PFF guys talk about Brian Thomas Jr., and that was someone recently in our chat that we were like, man, Brian Thomas falls at 32. Forget about it. They were killing him. They were like roasting Brian Thomas. His player comps were, and no disrespect to these guys, his player comps were MVS and D-Rob, which not bad players. 7 to 12 year vets these guys are probably going to be in their careers. Great career.
Not first round picks.
Not top 20, not the 4th receiver taken in your draft, right? Yeah. And a lot of the things that they were saying is, and which is very true, they're like, how we've been judging receivers over the years. I think we haven't gotten away from that yet. We're judging them with the glasses of like yesteryear. Like some of these guys have incredible skill sets and they make these wow plays and like they're deep threats, but the NFL's taking that away from teams. It's hard to do that. If this guy couldn't do it in college where it's easier to do that, you expect this guy to come in the NFL and become this like Calvin Johnson, like just throw me deep balls all day type guy when you have veterans who are having a hard time doing that. And these guys are already proven pros. They're having a hard time doing that in the NFL now because defensive schemes are taking that away from offenses. So find your guy that you need exactly scheme specific for what you need him to be and just take him and roll with it.
So I don't know. I kind of agree a little bit, disagree somewhat. And here's why I disagree. When you see guys like Justin Jefferson, when you see A.J. Brown, when you can see Metcalf and these guys, Diggs, who can absolutely take the top off the defense, still throw deep balls, Jamar Chase, right? Like you still have that ability to throw the ball to these guys. You're asking somebody that, can you cover this dude, man? Okay, can you do that? What is your scheme? Because you run zone, you can pick zone apart all day. You should be able to. If you're worth your salt in the NFL, any wide receiver can run against zone. Any guy. So when I look at guys coming out like now, like you said, like Ladd or Leggett, those guys who goes up and go get the football. When I see Jalen Polk who goes up and catch the football, like that is a talent that teams absolutely need. What has happened is the transition has actually been a little bit different. It's been more of the like short passes, shallow crosses, just kind of move the chains. But when you have a guy that can take the top off the defense, you have to actually, cover the entire field. That changes things. Like Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill doesn't do a good job of going up catching football. He gets past defenses, so guys have to open up. Like when you do that, you expose the entire field. When you just kind of throwing these little routes here and there and stuff like that, the defense can keep it in the box. That's what you want to be able to do. And I think because of our defense, like, we just took it away. Like, hey, man, before you start running these, you got these little bitty receivers on the outside like Tyreek Hill. We get our big corners, put our hands on you, okay, immediately disrupt that, all right? If you got a tough guy like Jamar Chase who would hit your hands down and go get the football, then it makes it a little bit tougher, right? You got to challenge those guys. So I see kind of where the offenses have changed and shifted to being a little bit more, I don't want to say gimmicky. I don't think gimmicky is the right word, but I think Chiefs are kind of in that box somewhat of not wanting to use receivers like that. And I'm thinking, like, that's exactly the guys we need. We got to stress the defense a little bit more. The only guy we had was Tyreek Hill. And you see how much of a monster he was. We got a Tyreek, like a Travis Kelce could do the things on the inside. If you just give a number so you can stop the little small game, you got to get some big receivers so you can throw the back shoulder throws, right? Like the timing. Teams do it so incredibly, the timing of it, that you should do more of it. You have to do more of that just to challenge the defense. So I think that's one of those things. It's a lost art. I really do. That's why those guys are so, they're so valuable to have. Like, you want to go get a man over with the Titans. Calvin Ridley, he could go, he could throw any route. You want a dude that can run the whole route tree, right? Go deep, go get it. Okay. He needs to run a comeback on the zone. He can do that too. But not challenging guys, like throwing deep, to me, I feel like it constricts what you do offensively. That's how I feel. Okay. I and you see so much of it, not saying like little guys don't have a place, because they do. I mean, slot guys, and you want those dark guys, and guys can be able to get those like wide receiver screens. I think, this is my own opinion now. This is my opinion. Rashid Rice, to me, has a lot more to him than what we gave him.
Yeah.
He had Rashid Rice had a lot of yards just with the little slants, wide receiver screens. Rashid Rice has a lot more game than that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I just think that we kind of limited him a little bit. He started opening up a little bit more, because we seen the throw that Mahomes had to him. We like, where's that at? How come you not throw more of this, right? Let Rashid Rice cook you up. Let him cook you up a little bit more than what you're doing. And I get like trying to move the chains and getting all down those, but man, you have to challenge the defense. You have to. If not, then we just like, well, shoot, we're going to put people in zones, like have 7 guys in that area, and we're just going to take up space. Well, stress the defense. You can't take up space when I'm stressed the defense. If I elongate you, open up the zones even more, is what I'm saying. Okay, and defenses know what route you're running. If I know I'm only defending certain routes, a little comeback, a hitch, or a slant, hey, man, I'm just want to tell my defense, this is the routes they run. They're not going to throw the deep balls that much. And when they do, they ain't going to be able to catch it, right? Like we did last year. We only threw a couple of deep balls. You just can't catch it.
So
get lost in like, well, where's the ball at?
My counter to that would be, you name like the best receivers in the league when you talked about deep balls. So Diggs, Chase, Hill, they're just the best receivers. They're not just guys who can go get a deep ball. They're incredible. So you have to guard them at all parts of the field. So if they do a little stutter, stop and go, they're gone, because you're worried about them doing a quick little curl and taking it to the hole.
Right.
I was talking about more guys that are average to good receivers, but their specialty is just deep. Example, MVS. MVS was a professional deep threat. That's what he got paid. That's why we paid him 3 years, 30-something million. That was his thing. 21 balls, 315 yards with Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
So if you're drafting a guy whose main specialty, what he did really well, the only part of his game he did really well is deep. I just think his ceiling is so much lower than guys that can do everything pretty well, but they don't have that like part of their game to them. That's all I was saying. I just think that's the way defenses are playing them. They're just not allowing the MVSs of the world to shake them loose deep. And granted, MVS's stats would have been a little better if he caught 2 of those that we can remember top of our heads. So you probably have like almost 450 yards, but 2 more catches.
But that's what I'm saying. So do you restrict a guy who has that ability? So I think we restricted Rashid Rice. Rashid Rice has that ability to go catch. He can do everything Diggs and them can do. That's what I'm saying. So when you have a guy that has that ability, utilize that.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Wide receiver screens and slants on a guy.
Oh, if he can do it all, then
that's what you get. That's what you get the other guys for.
Yeah.
Right. But when you get a first rounder, I ain't expecting you to just do little jet sweeps and wide receiver screens. You better have a full route tree to you. You better be able to go deep. You better be able to have a comeback. You better be able to run a dig route or whip route. You better be able to have all that to you. If you don't, you're not a first rounder. That's the way I look at it. And I'm looking at guys like Steve Smith. Steve Smith, he's a guy, smaller guy, can catch anything, can run any route. So I want to see guys that has that ability to them. I want them to have the entire route tree. Like I'm the Brown is saying, you have to have a full route tree about you. I don't want you coming out of college just running just a few routes. To me, I can't see your talent. I can't see your talent like that. I'm not going to take you when I don't see what you can do. So that's what I'm saying. Like, we can have like gadget guys, smaller dudes running, different routes. And this is like the whole wonky things offenses are doing in college. I hate it so much. I absolutely hate it so much. That's the reason that some of these quarterbacks are not that elite. You know why? Because you're telling them everything they need to do. They don't have to really think that much anymore. You know what I'm saying? They don't have to really read defense as much. That's why it's like, oh, wow, how come it's taking them a long time to process? Well, you've been telling them everything on a card. Hey, here's what you run on a card. What? You tell the wide receivers to do the same thing. I hate those systems. Just for the simple fact that you're not allowing a guy to learn how to do things, okay? Make adjustments. Be a football player. I don't want you to be a robot. It's easy I could draw up any route, okay? Run it this way. But if I'm asking you to be a guy with football IQ, okay, how to beat a guy, me and you got to be on the same page. That's why Kelsey is so good with Holmes, because they're on the same page. Kelsey's looking to do you in because he can run any route you have him run. He can run deep. He can run a corner route. He can run. That's why he's dangerous. Like you said, like Ladd.
Yeah.
Same thing. So
that's why I like Burton. His route tree is full. Any route out there.
Yeah, but some guy bad attitude. I can't use that.
He knows he's good. Maybe that's why he has a bad attitude. He knows he can run them all.
Yeah, I want a guy that can do it all. Okay,
not his teammate. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, I do. I'll be the daggone ball, Pat. Like, hey man, he can't be here. Like, you need to put him somewhere else. We can't have a guy over here disrupting. I'm not saying he would. I'm just saying that sometimes guys with attitudes can do that, right?
Oh, totally. I'm very curious to see where he goes, because if there are that many teams just throwing his name off their board, then the other teams know that and they think they can get him even later, right? So I don't think anyone's going to reach for him at that point, because you might not need to, unless they're just sold. They're just like, we have zero problems with his character and we think he's going to be a badass for us. So,
and that could be a Veach move. I just think this Rice situation throws a wrench in that.
I know, it's very interesting timing.
The optics of it would make us look like we don't give a crap about, guys, about, concerns of, off field or maybe on the field. So that's where it throws a wrench in it.
Yeah. What's the breaking point for that? Because we haven't given a crap about that for the past however many years since Tyreek Hill stuff. We continue to do it. Even after Hunts, we still have gotten questionable-ish guys, right? So,
after Hunt, who's the other? When did we go for a questionable guy? I mean, Tony, they got rid of him. He didn't have really any baggage yet. Well, not really baggage. There's really nothing on Tony. He just had the whole spats with people on Twitter. But every player's getting into that now, so it's not like
I saw someone reference Rashid Rice had some questionable marks.
Keyshawn did, but I have not seen that anywhere, and he's the only person who have said that.
First time I ever heard that.
Yeah.
After everything comes out, it's
Yeah,
like,
I never
oh,
saw
we
that
have
last
problems.
one.
Like, what? Yeah.
Yeah, he was the only one to say that, and I haven't seen anything. But I never saw anything before that because this would be a time where this would have come out about Rashid Rice's. Oh, he's got some off the field character issues. Never heard that last year around this time, and right now we're talking about Jermaine Burton's off the field issues or on the field issues. We never heard anything about Rashid Rice's. So Keyshawn, convenient timing for him to say, "Oh yeah, well he had off the field issues." Oh, no one ever heard that before. Keyshawn, thanks for letting us know now. I mean, I don't know. I feel like that's a lot of clout chasing to say, "Oh, he had inside information on Rashid Rice." Now that this stuff happened, so I think it's convenient timing for that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
But
I don't remember reading that about him.
Yeah,
that's gonna be impossible to find that now because you put in like Rashid Rice character.
Yeah, that's gonna come
up. You know what's gonna come up in that Google search. That's gonna be very, very, very recently.
Yeah, but moral stories. I think we know that a youth movement, what we did with the DBs, could be coming to Kansas City with this receiver room, and I'm all here for it, baby.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, I love to see it. I would absolutely love to see it. Look, we need some young, capable guys around Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes going into his twilight years, whatever, how long he's going to be here, giving some guys to get those balls to, right? That are dependable, that have athletic ability, that can do it all. That's what I want to see. And that's why the guys I chose, they can do all of it. They can do all those things, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. Who's the one guy, the one that ran the 4.2 down there in Texas?
Xavier Worthy?
Yeah, Worthy. Look, he's a guy that has one thing to him. He's got speed.
He scares me. I was going to bring him up when we were talking about this.
He's got speed. He's got speed. So can he catch deep balls? It's a little questionable. I don't like questions about deep balls. And somebody's like, can he catch deep balls? Okay. No. So
the guy I want from the Texas team would be Adonai Mitchell, but I don't know if he's going to make it to that pick.
Yeah, we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Even he's kind of.
Yeah.
I'm not too high on it.
Kind of like how you
good things. I also read he has lapses in concentration and like effort. What would you rather have? Would you rather have a guy who's like feisty and too intense to the point where he's like yelling and distraction, or a guy who doesn't do that and takes plays off and is not effort there all the time?
Yeah, JD on the spot.
What would you rather have? A good one, right?
Yeah. Are you going back to your guy?
Yeah.
Birdman.
Yeah.
And you get it for a round later, JD, too.
Would you rather have forget about the actual players themselves. Would you rather a guy who cares too much and gets, overexcited and has a temper, or would you rather have a guy who doesn't have that problem? You don't have to question him fighting anybody, but he also kind of like is lazy sometimes around stuff.
A little lazy. You like the guy that's a little lazy, or you like the guy that carries two knives that might hit you in the back when you're not you don't like it? Which one would you like?
The NFL in 2024, man, make your pick. It's like door number 1 and door number 2 in drafting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We got some chats coming out. Austin Hearn. Hey, boys, watching from Washington. I say we draft tackle in first round, sign Hunter Renfrow or Tyler Boyd, and draft a receiver second round. This draft has deeper wide receiver. I like it. I like it. It's not bad.
Early.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, absolutely. No doubt about it. Like that.
You've been a Hunter Renfrow fan, JD.
Yeah, I thought that somebody which you got last year brought him in. Yeah, I think he bode well here.
Yeah, and just a fun fact: Kansas City would have both Hunter Renfrows. They have the baseball one and the Royals, and if they sign this one, they'd have the football one.
That is definitely a fun fact, man.
It's a social media picture waiting to happen for both those teams' social accounts.
Henry Ruggs situation much more tragic. Yes, it was, and thank God it wasn't as bad like that, Wendy.
Well, it was actually tragic. Someone died in that. No one died in this Rashid Rice situation.
Right. Brown said, "Yeah, Jace, we need the young guys, but we need a vet player that will put hands on a teammate that doesn't act right." Yeah, and I was your buddy. Yeah. Me and my nephew were just talking about. Me and Chad were talking about the dream team. We asked, like, with the '92 dream team beat a Bronzium dream team. I'm like, absolutely. Just for the simple fact they're more physical. You will come down the lane and absolutely get hammered. we seen Carmelo open up Isaiah Thomas because that's how they played basketball back then. Now, I'm a big LeBron fan, but LeBron will slide up underneath the feet of people. Yeah, oh, he's holding his eye. I'm like, it's funny to me. It's funny.
They walk by and do this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I don't know if you'd be able to put hands on. Now, when I was playing, there was some dudes ready to put hands on folks. No doubt about it. I'm the Brown. Now, guys are buddy.
Ref in that game, though, is the question.
Oh, yeah.
That's a big one right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think dudes is ready to put hands on each other anymore.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, everyone's dabbing each other up and hugging each other, exchanging jerseys after the game. Back then, those guys weren't talking at all. They were going to go separate lockers. That was it.
But it's extreme too, because you have guys hugging and loving all the time. But if someone fouls you hard, that would have been normal 20 years ago. They want to fight after that. Whereas back then, you got fouled hard, you just walked to the free throw line and shot your 2 free throws.
And you get them back, and you get them back later, maybe on another.
Yeah, sure. And then it goes back and forth until you fight in the audience. But like now, it's like guys like want to like take it personally. They're fouled hard. It's like, dude, it's a foul, man. Just go to the free throw line. Shut up. Just like it's a foul. That's why they call it. It's not dirty. I didn't hurt you. It's not a flagrant. Because it's funny. Players should know now more than ever. They review everything for flagrant fouls. So if they're not going to review that, it was clean. It was a foul. Shut up and go to the free throw line. That's it. Because they review everything now. So
I know.
Trust me, dude. There's nothing to it except I hit your arm hard. Okay, that's it.
Right. Yeah. Did he hurt his feelings too? Is you okay? Yeah. I don't know.
What was your intent though? Did you mean to foul me hard, or did you were trying to go for the ball? Tell me right now what you were trying to do. Were you going for the ball, going for my arm? But that's a problem too, because you have guys. And Marcus and I were watching a Sixer game recently, and you had a dude. You could just tell. It's so obvious. He was not even trying to score. He was just trying to go into somebody. That was his game plan. It was not to put the ball in a hoop, like Naismith invented it. Yeah. It was to just he was almost going past the basket to run into somebody. And was like, dude, the basket's right there. Where are you going? You're going to the baseline. You're going out of bounds.
They didn't call it.
They didn't call it either? Oh.
He was going for Embiid. Embiid got out of the way right when he was doing it to attack the basket.
Oh, that one too. I was talking about Dort in the OKC game.
Oh, later on in the game, he did that. Embiid got out of the way, and he just threw the ball off the basket.
Yeah, because he wasn't expecting to go, shoot, I was actually going for a foul. I didn't think I'd even get to the basket. Yeah. Oh man, it's too much, man. It's too much.
Yeah. Different times, man. Different times. I'm the Brown. I'm like, I get off my lawn moments. I do have them. Get off my lawn moments. No doubt about it. Like, how come ain't nobody tuned this guy up yet? Nobody tuned him up. You know.
All right, guys. Well, we enjoyed everyone getting involved in the chat tonight. We hope you guys enjoyed the mock draft, the 4-round mock draft. Next Monday, we'll be doing a 5-round mock to see if there's any differences here. See if there's any new information on some of these guys. From hopefully nothing drastic.
We should make a rule: you can't draft anyone you already drafted next time.
Okay. All right. Well,
JD's like, oh.
Well, I guess based on the draft simulator, there were some guys he wanted that didn't fall to him. So maybe there's
True.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, we'll make sure we'll go through this a little bit faster next time, okay? So we can go ahead and engage with y'all a little bit more, talk about some other things. Because I know we wanted to talk a little bit about the Rice situation and some of the things that was being said from the fallout, I guess, if you will.
We'll address that during our midweek show, JD.
Sure.
Take some time to talk about some certain commenters out there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it'd be good. Thank everybody for showing up. Everybody coming in. Good seeing you all. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Teja, always a pleasure, my brother. Always.
Great time, man. Great time.
Love you, fellas. Love you, everybody. I hope everyone enjoys the rest of your night and the second half of this Purdue-UConn game.
Oh, yeah. Love you guys. Love all y'all out there, Chief Concerns family. See y'all later. Love y'all. Y'all be good. We'll see y'all later. See y'all Wednesday.
Baby.
Wednesday.
And I'll be in the same time zone as our Kansas City, Missouri people, because I'll be in Minnesota. My girlfriend has a gala kind of thing that I have to go to in Minnesota for her company's HQ party. So I'll be in Minneapolis Wednesday night for our show. So I'll be in the same time zone as our Chiefs Kingdom, our Chiefs Concern fans. So All right, guys. Well, I hope everyone enjoys your night. We'll see you guys Wednesday night. Love you, fellas.
Love you guys.
Love y'all.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.